Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be going over 3 support classes available on an Everquest pop-lock server named Agnarr. All 3 classes have great kits, and although they don't quite all fit perfectly into this category, these classes can each provide a diverse and flexible game experience. I'm going to focus on 3 facets of each class by looking at damage output, defense and utility, and then add a few tips and tricks at the end. I hope you enjoy. Beastlords are part monk and part shaman, with much of their kit being borrowed from their shaman counterparts. Although they can do melee damage and could have easily fit into the melee DPS category, their massive amount of raid utility and focus allows them to fit here as well. Also, 4 classes would have made for a really long video. Anyway, Beastlords get a really strong pet that is different based on your race. Ixars get a scaled wolf, Trolls get a basilisk, Ogres get a bear, Barbarians get a wolf, and Vaishir get a tiger. Beastlords get a pet only haste buff line with Ereg's Celerity that gives your pet strength, armor class, attack, and attack speed, and a proc buff line in Spirit of Relic that adds a lot of extra damage to your pet's attacks, with various spell schools and effects like stuns and adding or removing aggro. They also get an AA called Hobble of Spirits that will add a snare proc component to your pet. Beastlords get 2 fast cast ice spells called Frost Spear and Ice Shard that add quite a bit of damage to the Beastlords kit, as well as 4 different damage over time abilities. Scorpion Venom and Malaria are both instant cast, and Venom of the Snake and Plague both have longer cast times. Beastlords lose traditional double attack and triple attack because of their hybrid support nature, but do get a 15% chance to double attack from the Burst of Power AA. Beastlords also get 2 cooldowns with the AA Bestial Fury, which increases all skills damage modifier by 50% and your minimum damage modifier by 400%. It's usable every 25 minutes and lasts 30 seconds. They also get the Frenzy of Spirit AA, which increases your attack speed by 100% and attack power by 250, usable every 12 minutes and lasts for well over a minute. Beastlords are leather wearers, but they get some active mitigation from Monk, making them decent at taking damage, especially with gear. They also get an ability identical to the Monk's Earthwalk in Protective Spirit that makes you take 90% less damage for 12 seconds on a 4-minute cooldown. You can also toggle on your pet's taunt and have your pet do some tanking while you heal it with your pet-only healing spells in the Healing of Sorcerer line, which has a large base healing value but also decreases disease and poison, as well as curse counters on your pet by 24 each, which is very strong. Beastlords can also cast Chloroblast on themselves or others, although it's not a particularly strong heal. Beastlords get access to several important buff lines such as Ferocity, which is their short duration 150 attack spell with a 2-minute cooldown and 11-minute duration. They also get Spiritual Dominion, which stacks with all other mana and HP regen and gives 9 mana and 9 hit points per tick. They also get a hybrid attack and hit point buff that is less attack but more hit points than Ranger's Strength of Tunair line. They also get Talisman of Crag and Infusion of Spirit, which together get pretty close to the Focus of Soul hit point and stat wise. They get a 65% fast cast, 1.75 seconds slow that makes them a viable slower in this era, along with Incapacitate, which is the second best debuff behind Cripple. Beastlords also get a unique AA called Paragon of Spirit that gives your party 200 hit points of regeneration and 80 points of mana regeneration for over a minute and can be mass group buffed to hit a whole raid. They also get an instant cast Min Companion AA that can help you heal your pet quickly in a pinch. Beastlords are also one of 2 classes that can cast Shrink natively on the server without a clicky. They can also cast a lot of the Shaman's lower level kit like Celerity, Spirit of Wolf, Regrowth, Levitate, and Invisibility, as well as Annual Magic, along with a suite of stat sheet buffs as well. They can also cure themselves of poison and disease with Abolish Disease and Counteract Poison. Beastlords also get poison and disease group resist buffs from the Shaman spellbook with Talisman of Shadu and Talisman of Jacinth. Ferocity is a super important force multiplier. At endgame with gear and AA, it's possible to maintain this on 4 or 5 characters at once. However, it's very mana intensive. Threat is always a serious issue for Beastlords, so although Beastlords can do great damage, they are often limited by the aggro they generate. You can mitigate some of this with a non-stun proc on your pet like Spirit of the Vermin, and by not using weapons like Ethereal Destroyer that do a lot more damage but generate a lot more threat as well. Beastlords also do heavily with mana management for their support buffs like Ferocity and Recast of Spiritual Dominion, and the cost of their dots and direct damage spells as well. Recovering from death on a Beastlord is very hard because you have to resummon the pet and apply 2 buffs to it, and you don't have mana to cast your dots and direct damage, let alone continue your Ferocity rotation or other buffs. So it's very punishing for a Beastlord. Because of this, being conservative early on is smart until you get the hang of your kit. This is made easier by watching the threat meter closely. Beastlords don't get any resist debuffs, so it's important for you to ask classes that can debuff to ensure that they do it in groups and raids to help you land your spells easier. You can also get Journeyman's Walking Stick, which has a magic resist debuff proc that you can use. One of the things that's a lot of fun with Beastlords is collecting pet illusions. If you're into that kind of thing, there are many different illusions you can get to add some fun to your Beastlord. Enchanters are the master of illusion and misdirection. They are capable of doing the highest damage that can be done by a single character in this era if they're able to use a spell called Command of Druzel to charm a level 64 Plains creature. Enchanters' charm cap is much higher than their Druid, Necro, and Mage counterparts, which allows them to command much more powerful pets. Charm duration is based primarily on the level of the mob and magic resistance of the mob, but Enchanters also get an AA in the Focus tab called Total Domination. This AA at cap makes it 35% less likely that your charm spells will break early, which makes charming on an Enchanter much more reliable. They're able to haste their charmed pet and wreak havoc for 7 minutes and 30 seconds until the need to recharm. Enchanters also get a direct damage spell with Insanity, which does about 1100 damage and has a pushback of 1, as well as Strangle and Asphyxiate, which are magic-based damage over time spells that reduce strength, agility, and apply a damage over time component. Enchanters also get access to the animation pets that look like floating weapons and are very weak compared to other pet classes and your charmed pets. Enchanters also get casting subtlety to reduce aggro generated by spells that you cast. Enchanters are a cloth wearer, so their innate defense is pretty bad. However, Enchanters get access to several rune spells, such as Arcane Rune, which is a self-cast, spammable 1500 hit point rune with a 2.5 second cast time when spell hasted. Many people on this server refer to Enchanter chain casting this as rune tanking, and it's an extremely powerful way for Enchanters to take damage effectively. They also get an instant cast 1500 point AA rune called Eldritch Rune that is reusable every 10 minutes, and a great way to get some mitigation if you are getting interrupted casting your other rune. They also get a targetable rune with Rune of Zabuxaruk that gives you an 800 point rune but costs 1 Peridot. This rune also stacks with your Arcane Rune line, potentially giving you 2300 hit points of rune absorption before it hits your real hit points. But wait, they also get the Uproar line, which adds an additional 425 hit points to this and is stackable with the other two. So now you're at 2725 extra rune hit points creatures have to get through. Enchanters are the kings of crowd control on Agnarr. They get the Mesmerine line of spells with Bliss that lasts over a minute and works on creatures up to level 68. They also get Word of Morel, which is a fast cast point blank AoE mez that puts everything around you to sleep for 6 seconds. Enchanters can also Area of Effect Stun with the Color Cloud line, which lasts 8 seconds and is recastable every 12 seconds. They can also manipulate mobs with Memory Flux, which removes you from the creature's threat table, allowing you a combat escape type ability, as well as Pacification, which reduces a creature's aggro range to near 0, so you can walk right by them undisturbed without worrying about them noticing you. Enchanters can also both give an aggro increasing buff and an aggro decreasing buff with the Horrifying Visage and Glamorous Visage buff lines. They can also drain a target's mana with the Torment of Sio spell, and get a mana tap in Theft of Thought, which will take up to 440 mana from the target and give it to you, recastable every 2 minutes. Enchanters have several sought-after buffs, starting with the highest target castable mana region on the server with Voice of Gwelius, lasting well over 2 hours, giving Wisdom and Intelligence and increased max mana, and providing 18 mana per tick. They also get Valen's Quickening, which is the best haste on the server, providing 68% haste, agility, dexterity, and attack, and lasting over an hour. Enchanters also get the best magic resist buff with Guard of Druzel that gives 75 magic resist to the group. At this point you might be thinking, wow, he's been in the utility section for a while. That is correct, and there's still more to cover. Enchanters also get the Forlorn Deeds line of spells that provides a 70% magic-based slow, second best on the server behind Shamans. They also share the spell Cripple with Shamans, being the only two who can cast this massive debuff that reduces dexterity, agility, strength, and armor class for 8 minutes. They also get a 1.75 second cast root with a negative 30 magic resist check that can last almost 4 minutes. Enchanters get the most powerful magic resist buff in Era with Howl of Tashin, which reduces a mob's magic resist by 50, and they also get an Area of Effect version that reduces magic resist on all mobs in the area by 40. They also get access to virtually every castable illusion in the game with a giant list of illusions including all races, werewolves, elementals, imps, trees, and even minor illusion, which changes you into something in your surroundings like a fire pit. With the permanent illusion AA, these illusions last for 29 hours, and on top of that, they also get the project illusion AA that allows you to cast all your illusions on your group mates. Enchanters also get the AA called Gather Mana that fills their mana bar up to full once every 1 hour and 40 minutes. Enchanters also get many of the standard utility kits such as Invisibility, Invis Undead, Enduring Breath, and Levitate. Enchanters are just about as good at debuffing as Shamans are, so you should always start by casting your Tash spell to get all creatures magic debuffed. Then if you don't have Shamans doing Slow and Cripple, it falls to you as second best. In sticky situations where mobs are mezzable, it's a good idea to do so, take them out of the fight and reduce the damage out. Make sure you announce you're doing this so people know not to break the mez. Buffing is important, and Enchanter gets the best haste and targetable mana regen in the game, so you want to make sure you keep Valens and Voice of Quellius on everyone who can use it in your party or raid. If you're charming, there are multiple things you can do to make it easier on yourself, such as getting a negative magic resist kit to give to your pets. For me, I carry around 3 key items to give an additional negative 25 magic resist, as well as a Tulip Mudge robe to give the pet 36% Warn Haste. Not all charmable creatures can accept gear, but you will benefit from giving the ones that do this kit. When you're done, you'll simply get your pet to low health, break the charm, and then kill and loot your kit back. You also want to make sure you keep your Tash on the pet as well. You can quickly break your charms with any invis in the game, including invisibility to animals and invisibility to undead, even if your pet isn't classified as either. This makes the Goblin Kazugi ring with instant invis to animals great, and the Boots of Mosquito even better because you don't have to target yourself first. You can also just use invisibility potions, which are instant cast as well, just a little on the pricey side. If you need to reduce your aggro generation, you can click off haste on your charm pet. You can also cast the aggro reduction buff on the pet. Enchanters get a clicky weapon in Plane of Time known affectionately as the Pancake Flipper or the Fly Swatter that gives you a mana-free, much faster casting Forlorn Deeds slow. Some other cool things Enchanters can do is charm NPCs that are hostile so you and your friends can do quest turn-ins if you are kill on sight to that NPC. Bards are the minstrels of Everquest, providing incredible party or raid-wide buffs with their songs. Bards have several different ways they can do damage. They get access to 5 different single target damage over time songs, one from each school of magic. These dots also provide the benefit of reducing the creature's resistance to that school as well. You can run up to 4 of them at a time and they do 49 damage base, but are based on percussion, so with the percussion mod it will do much more. For instance, my Bard with a 15 mod does 140 damage per dot, and with the Bard Discipline Pure Tone, which increases your instrument modifier by 28%, those now hit for 190 damage each. Running 4 of them would be 560 damage per tick, or 760 damage per tick while Pure Tone is running. They also have several area of effects songs they can play as well, most of which that have secondary debuff effects. For instance, with a 14 mod to stringed instruments and a 16 mod to brass, Melody of Mischief does 164 damage and slows attack speed of all creatures by 45%. Denon's Bereavement does 126 damage and debuffs all creatures' magic resistance. Denon's Disruptive Discord does 88 damage and reduces all creatures' armor class. And finally, Chords of Dissonance just does 80 damage with no secondary effect. Added up, Bards can do over 450 damage per tick to a maximum 30 creatures at once if the situation calls for it. Bards also get a very hard-hitting song called Denon's Desperate Dirge that costs 800 mana and fully AA'd does 2600 damage base, being able to critical for well over 7000 damage and hit up to 5 mobs. Bards don't get double attack or triple attack, so a lot of their damage comes from your weapon procs and songs, but more importantly using your mana for Dirge. You also get some added DPS from the Boastful Bellow line, which does 200 damage initially, and then 400 damage after 18 seconds has passed, for a total of 600. It's possible to critical hit on both parts of this ability. Bards are a plate class and have decent soft cap values. They also get several tools like Death Dance that allow you to avoid most attacks for 18 seconds on a 1 hour and 3 minute cooldown. Bards also get an area of effect Divine Aura called Kazumi's Aura of Preservation that can be cast every 3 minutes and lasts 12 seconds with a 3-second cast time. Bard's primary suite of songs are called Call of the Muse, which is a 25% overhaste and 1 to 15% spell damage increase, War Song of Zek, which increases attack speed, strength, and attack, along with adding a damage shield, Psalm of Vishen, which buffs all resists, increases AC, adds a large damage shield, and finally Chorus of Mar, which increases hit point regeneration and mana regeneration and will hit everyone in range, not just your group. They also get an AA Fading Memories, which is perhaps the most iconic Bard ability for this era, allowing Bards to use 12% of their total mana to instantly drop from combat and give themselves permanent invisibility. This skill is usable every 1 second, so you can essentially spam it as long as your mana will hold. Due to this skill, Bards are the king of pulling in this era, being able to easily recover from a botched pull or quickly circumvent any issues they run into in a dungeon or raid. Bards also do a lot of the same things Enchanters can, like Mezzing with Lullaby of Morel, which lasts 18 seconds and affects creatures up to level 68. They can also pacify with Silent Song of Quellius, which lasts for 30 seconds and works on creatures up to level 65. Bards can also charm, but only creatures up to level 57, and it only lasts 1 minute, requiring 90 mana to cast. They also get the ability to snare with Largo's Assonant Binding, being the single target version, and Cello's Assonant Strain being the point blank area of effect version. Bards also get the ability to slow at 54% with Requiem of Time, and additionally 45% AoE slow with Melody of Mischief like we talked about earlier. It's one of the less potent slows, but it can definitely fill in just fine for lots of content. Bards also get Harmony of Sound, which reduces cold, fire, and magic resist of a mob, and is augmentable with Percussion mod to reduce resist by quite a bit more. Perhaps my favorite part about Bard is Salo's Accelerating Chorus, which provides normally 76% run speed. However, with a fleet of foot AA Bards get, they can run at 81% run speed, which is the fastest possible on this server. It also lasts 2 minutes, so you don't have to constantly sing it. They also get Salo's Song of Travel, which provides the same run speed as well as levitation for the group. Bards also get access to Amplification, which increases your singing skills by 170% for 30 seconds. They can also cancel magic on targets with Druzel's Disillusionment. They get Track, but it's the lowest skill cap on the server at 150, meaning the radius is a bit behind Druids and Rangers. Lastly, Bards can cure themselves of poison and disease and curses with Aria of Asceticism and Aria of Innocence. Bards are extremely good force multipliers, so it's a good idea to try and collect instrument mods as soon as you can to make your songs much stronger. The mod number corresponds to the percentage of increase for the skill, so if your item says mod 16, it means it's an additive 160% bonus to your base song mod, along with other additive bonuses. Once you get access to AAs, make sure you train all the AAs available in the Focus tab, as they give a monstrous bonus to all your songs and instruments, doing things like increasing the range of your songs, the level of the song that's cast, and also its potency. There are a few items in the game that give you passive AA unlocks for singing mastery. Voice of the Serpent will increase your singing skill permanently by 6, and Shadow Song Cloak will increase your singing skill permanently by 9. These do not stack, whichever is larger will take effect, with the Voice of the Serpent being the easier to farm. When you're using Dirge in a group, you should set up a macro that plays Call of the Muse first, and then follow with 3 Dirges. This way you can keep overhaste on your group, and hopefully their haste buffs will keep them haste capped while you empty your mana bar on the targets. Dirge is targeted AoE, so if you stand too close, you will become one of the targets, so watch your health if you're casting it close. Bards are very good at pullers, so you should familiarize yourself with how to pull early on, so you can do it if needed in the later game. There will be certain scenarios where you won't be able to fade because it only works on level 75 and below creatures. There are some raid mobs that are above this level. Bards do not have to stand still for anything castable. They can do all clickies and songs while running, so if you're clicking a gate pot, or mounting up, or even putting on an illusion, you can do all of this while moving as a Bard. The slash melody and the slash Q melody commands are wonderful for Bards. Slash melody allows you to automatically twist up to 4 songs in a loop. You can also do fancy things like write your own loops to cast songs at certain intervals, like slow or speed buffs. Slash Q melody allows you to put songs in a melody that it will check to ensure are there before it casts, and only recast it once it falls off. This is useful for run speed or amplification, etc. Illusion masks are a lot of fun to collect on the Bard, similar to the Rogue, and you can use the same ones the Rogue gets access to. Hopefully this video has given you a decent look at the Beastlord, the Enchanter, and the Bard classes on the Agnarr server. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe.